Hello to my social work subscribers. Once again, I'm back. I apologize for that long gap in not submitting updated videos. But today I would like to focus on tackling the challenges of the ASWB exam and talk about 10 reasons why social workers may fail the exam. Now, the first reason is lack of knowledge of the content area. It is really important for you to be able to understand what is going to be on the exam. A report of the exam scores is received after you complete the exam, and this is for those who have already taken the exam. And the scores inform you of the number of questions you answered correctly in each content area. And oftentimes I hear social workers saying, I don't understand why I fail when I have been studying. And I want for you to remember that the exam tests your ability to analyze the question and your ability to apply concept. So if you're new to taking this exam, I strongly advise you to download the ASWB content outline and review each section to understand what information the test writers want you to know. Keep in mind that you may not know everything, but the more you know and the more prepared you are, the closer you'll get to passing the exam. Number 2, not knowing what to study, feeling overwhelmed. So some people try to cram instead of reading and fully understand the material. And the ASWB content outline can appear overwhelming, I do agree, having to learn so much information and not knowing exactly what will be presented on the exam. And I get it, it can be frustrating, right? I've heard many social workers saying, I've gotten questions on hospital or questions pertaining to working at in a community or at a school. Keep in mind that the exam is from a generalist stance. So though you may not have worked in a hospital, a school, a community, or having your own private practice, you're still required to know the information. I always like to say when you're going for a job interview, you don't say, and this is the first time you're going to apply for, let's just say, to become a school social worker, you don't say to the interviewer, well, I don't know if I'll be able to do this job because I've never worked in a school. You gain your experience through book knowledge, and as I mentioned before, reviewing the ASWB content outline and having a study plan will create structure and reduce overwhelming feelings and anxiety. Number 3, having a negative mindset of the exam. Now, passing the exam requires you to be prepared, and that also includes having a positive mindset. A negative mindset towards an exam invades your mind and have you thinking that you're likely to fail the exam or score lower than you desire. And believe it or not, negative thinking can decrease your motivation. I often like to say your feelings about the exam should never be based on someone else's experience. And what I mean by that is many social workers develop this negative feelings about the exam based on feedback received from others who had already taken the exam. You need to create your own story. You need to create your own experience of what the exam is like, but not to put it on others because everyone sees the exam differently. I remember before I started my master's degree program in social work, I was very hesitant to take the exam because I was hearing a lot of negativity about the exam. People were saying, oh, it's hard. A lot of people fail the exam. So I was very, very hesitant. And until my friend Donovan, who is at the time he was in his 60s, pushed me and said to me, Tanisha, you need to create your own experience and challenge yourself before listening to others. And that's when I decided to go back to school because I loved the field of social work. I always wanted to become a social worker, but that one thing, that negative mindset had prevented me from going back to school. And thankfully I did because while I was in school, 2 semesters before graduating, I was able to pass my exam. I know that a lot of people may have questions behind how were you able to take your exam before you pass, but there's some states that may allow you to take your exam if you have a certain amount of credit already while you're in school. Number 4, poor time management when taking the exam. So this is when you're taking the exam and you find yourself running out of time, right? Effective time management is essential when taking the exam. Your exam can be significantly affected by poor time management, as many fail to pass the exam because they run out of time. So budget your time wisely. And yes, though you may have 4 hours to complete the exam, keep in mind that the clock does not stop. So try not to spend too much time on one question, and also try to monitor how long you spend on each question and try to answer each question within a minute or less. Now, yes, there's some questions, of course, that will take you only a few seconds, while others will require more time for thought. You want to be able to complete the exam and still have enough time for review. Lack of practice and overstudying. And I know you may be saying, what? Lack of practice and overstudying? I'm confused. Well, lack of practice and overstudying can cause you to fail. And here's why. You buy tons of books, right? Most may be recommended by social workers who use the materials to pass their exam. And you spend hours reading through textbooks and study guides, but you fail to practice. Taking time practicing questions helps you to understand how the content is applied to the question. It also helps you to practice time management, so how much time is spent on answering each questions, and it helps to improve your understanding of the exam structure, as well as detailed answer explanations to help you to learn why a particular answer is incorrect. So practice, practice, practice is important, and I know there are cons to practicing questions because oftentimes on the actual exam you may find a question that was similar to a question that you have been practicing, and then you end up choosing that same answer. However, when you're doing that, if you see a question that is similar, please keep in mind that the answer choice may not be the same. Next one, test-taking anxiety. Now, in order for you to manage your anxiety, you must ask yourself, what causes your anxiety? There are several reasons why a person may have test anxiety, and one reason is lack of preparation for the exam. The next is having a negative mindset on how you will perform on the exam. Or it could be your previous experiences of failing the exam. Now, also keep in mind that there are people that fail the exam because of their test anxiety. It has nothing to do with the fact that they don't understand the question or the fact that they have not prepared enough. So for those, you want to try to challenge your anxiety first. Figure out ways in which you can deal with your anxiety before going in to take the exam again. The goal here is to pass this exam and obtain your license. So avoid convincing yourself that you're not a good test taker. You have spent all your time, all your money preparing for this exam. So do not allow your anxiety to cause you to fail. Number 7, not understanding the exam questions. So not reading the questions thoroughly, not knowing how to apply content to the question, especially if English is your second language or due to a learning disability, are some reasons why you may lack understanding of the question. Now, utilizing resources that are available, such as your tutor, a group workshop, study strategy guide, watching videos like this one, or exam preparation books that may help you to improve your understanding of the question is essential. And for those who are not aware, there are special testing accommodation available for individuals with disability and with English as a second language. So accommodation, however, may vary from state to state, and it may include additional hours to complete the exam, access to a dictionary provided by the Pearson VUE, as well as access to a locker for snacks. But however, please consult with your state board for further details. And there are no additional fees when requesting accommodation. The form can be requested from your state board and must be thoroughly filled out and notarized before you submit it. Next one, poor study habit. Poor study habit can be caused by procrastination, and procrastination may stem from various reasons such as the fear of failing, being unmotivated, easily distracted, and having low self-esteem due to previous test anxiety, or even just by feeling overwhelmed by looking at the content area. Some social workers may refuse to accept that their failure is due to poor study habits, and instead they may say that the exam is difficult and tricky. So we tend to use all these excuses and reasons as to why we can't pass this exam. So block those thinking out of your head, and whenever you're preparing for this exam, speak to your family members, speak to your friends, let them know that you're preparing for this exam, and gain some support from them, whether it be babysitting, whether it be cleaning the house, doing the laundry. Let them support you along the way as you prepare for this exam. Number 9, not knowing exam taking strategies. Now, social workers may fail the exam because they have not mastered the method of answering the questions. It must be said, of course, that strategies cannot replace the content that you need to know. However, both go hand in hand to pass the exam. So learning test-taking strategies, knowing your content, knowing how to apply content to what the question is asking can definitely help you to increase your score and pass the exam. And our final one, number 10, overconfident when taking the exam. Can you believe that? Yes, we do become very overconfident at times, especially when we feel like we got this, right? So some social workers who fail the exam often say the exam appeared so easy, and some thought about the score that they want to achieve on the exam. For example, a person might say, oh, I want to get 125 right. Others report that they believe that they had answered proportion of the questions correctly, only in the end to see a big fail. So overconfidence can prevent you from reviewing your questions and answer choices thoroughly, which can lower your score, causing you to fail. So that's our 10 reasons why social workers may fail the exam. Now keep in mind that when you decrease these common reasons that may cause you to fail, you increase your chances of successfully passing the exam and becoming a licensed social worker. Please feel free to comment and post additional reasons why you think social workers may fail the exam. Once again, thank you for joining us, and keep subscribing. And remember, visualize passing the exam, visualize your future with your license.